episode 22 of the Lonely Knitter podcast. My name is Laura and this is where I come to talk all... Just knit with my tail. So just joined on a new ball of yarn. There we go. This is where I come. I'm leaving that in to talk about my knitting because I have no in the flesh real life knitting friends. I have slowly been getting a lot of online knitting friends, for which I am incredibly grateful. Thank you very much. Anyway, today is Sunday, the 13th of January. I couldn't even remember what day of the week it was. Of course it's Sunday. Sunday is my recording day. Anyway, here in my little knitting bubble in my house, working on my weekender, I want to kick off the podcast by talking about my stance on what is going on in the knitting world at the moment. I think this is probably the most important thing it is the most important thing I will talk about today, because everything else is just what I've been doing this week. Very sorry if you can hear my dishwasher going on in the background. Haven't cleared my worktop. Real life over here. Hi, Laura from the future here. We might be interrupted by a small person because it is daytime. I decided to cut out what I said last night about the racism issue that is going on in the knitting community, things that have been called out at the moment. I've cut it out because I and I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to say, and I didn't really get out everything that I wanted to say. I ended up saying about 3 sentences in about 20 minutes. It was ridiculous. So I have written down some notes that I have found from online, like things that I've read. I know this all stemmed now from a blog post that whether or not it was meant to cause any offence, which I do not believe wholeheartedly that it was, it did cause offence. And I have read that blog post, I've read the comments under that blog post, I've read the blog post that followed, and the comments under that one too. So here it is. So I've lived in my little bubble that my white privilege has afforded me and have been ignorant to the suffering of so many others, and that is not right. Here are some of the statements that I have taken away from Instagram, from the comments to the blog post, from, in general, talking that's gone on this week. One of them was, be careful about how we communicate when it comes to colour. Another is, language is very powerful. Take feedback with respect and integrity. This one's something I was thinking, which was, if someone says something to you trying to educate you, then don't get defensive. Take a moment, and what you should say is, thanks for pointing that out. I would like to learn about this, and I will make that effort. Or even, do you have any references that you can recommend for me to learn more about this subject? Well, that one I would like to preface that with saying that you'd have to judge that whether or not asking for references is appropriate to the situation or person, because it isn't always fair to give that emotional labour to someone else. It's my responsibility as a good, or I hope a good human being, to learn to not be ignorant and to work on myself always to be a better person. Another one that I read, I think on the blog post comments, was, as white people, we have to be anti-racist. And that requires lifelong learning and investing in perspectives different from our own. That struck a chord with me. Something I wanted to say was that I especially was looking at Isolde Teague's feed, and something that really came across there was that you have to work to try to change your Instagram algorithms. They only really reflect the people that you already follow in terms of more followers. And I want to make an effort to make sure that my Instagram feed is a little more, or a lot more really, diverse and shows a broad spectrum of the world we live in, and not just my little area that I've created for myself. Not for a token follow. I'm not going to go out there and pick a person of colour and follow them just because. I am following them because they are talented makers. I have found quite a few this week. My Instagram list of people I follow has really grown, mainly with people of colour, because there have been a lot of people sharing these people that haven't, that I haven't seen before, and I followed them because they make good stuff and their Instagram feeds are beautiful, same as I would anybody else, but these people have been hidden from me so far. Or more, that I haven't gone out there and sought them out. Maybe I should have done. I had one last bit to say, and I'm not sure if I've worded this the way I want to. I've literally just typed this out on my iPad just before coming over here. But and that is that everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and I understand that. I'm not trying to enforce my view on anybody else. But I am committed to learning and being a better person. I've seen a lot of comments in the last few days saying that this is just knitting. This is just our knitting area and it doesn't have any relevance. Racism doesn't have any relevance in this. I don't think that we as white people get to say that. Sorry. I think that we're not the ones experiencing the racism here, so we don't get to tell people how they feel or how they are affected. I've got a pretty massive reading list now on my Kindle, and I have downloaded the Me and My White Supremacy workbook. You want a cuddle? Yeah. Can I say 2 more things and then you can have a cuddle? I've downloaded the Me and My White Supremacy workbook, and I will be working through it, and I'm trying to make sure my horizons are broadened. I hope no one has been offended by anything I've said, but if you have, then please do call me out on it, so that I can work on that, because I want to work on it. You can up in a minute. I'm going to go back to the law of the past right now, and I just want to make sure that people know that I hear you, and I am not blind anymore. If I was previously, I'm trying not to be ignorant. My eyes are open and I'm trying. So other admin things. I am gonna now move on and get into the knitting. So other admin-y things. I have a Knitalong running. I started my first ever Knitalong and I posted about it a couple of days ago on YouTube. I did a little video while my toddler was having a nap, and it is the hashtag not going to EYF Cal. So it is also a crochet along. If you crochet, come on in. Basically, if you're not going to EYF and you want to knit something for yourself, then you can go over there and join in. So you don't have to be going to EYF, but I'm sorry, you don't have to be knitting something that you would wear to. It's like blah blah blah. Not cutting that out either. If you were going to go to EYF and you want to knit yourself something, you could enter it there. Go and watch the video. I will link to it in the show notes, probably, maybe, should do. We have a Ravelry group. That is where you can go to enter. There are 2 threads, a chatter thread and a finished objects thread. This is not just for garments, it is for absolutely anything that you want to make for yourself to wear, that you could wear to EYF if you were going to EYF. And I will let you have a little look at the prizes. Sorry for the crinkling, because I am not that prepared. I have a few prizes here. These ones I showed on the video. But I have some beautiful mini skeins from Family Tree Yarns. This will be in one prize. It is 40 grams, 20 grams in each mini skein. And this one is in her Babe and her Storm colourway. And this is enough to make a pair of my Show As She Scraps Fingerless Mitts striping. So there's one. And this isn't going to be all that's in the prize. I'm going to add a project bag to this, whether or not I buy it, get it from somewhere, or make it myself. And stitch markers as well. Maybe other things. We'll see. This is another one, same deal. 40 grams of yarn, Family Tree yarns, this one in the Fell colourway, this one in the Vino Calypso colourway, and again, I will do the same with those. And I have a new prize that no one has seen yet. So my lovely friend Amanda, she won a giveaway and she wasn't 100% what she was going to do with the prize. She said to me, what do you think? And I thought it was gorgeous and said, you know, lovely. She was like, what would you like it to give away? Because she wasn't 100% sure what she would make it of it. And I said, of course, because it is gorgeous, gorgeous. So this is hand spun, oh wow, like lucky, hand spun reclaimed sari silk, 100 grams, and it is, and 55 meters, and it's gorgeous. It's sappanwood from Scrappy Dog, and it comes with a very cute little paw stitch marker on there. So that will be going into a prize as well. So we have the makings of 3 prizes, the beginnings of 3 prizes. I am going to add more to each one to make them into a little bundle each. And I'm hoping to make up myself at least 1 more prize. So there'll be at least 2 prizes for the chatter thread and 2 prizes for the FO thread. You never know, there might be more, but we'll see. I am, you know, going to be adding things to these that I will have bought with my own money. So I don't have tons of disposable income, so it will be what I can do. I do have stash as well, so we'll see. I also have a giveaway going that will be closed by the time you watch this, because after this video I am going to go and pick a winner, which is just for the remainder of my Drops Nepal that I made my jumper out of, and I'm not sure if I said, but I am wearing my Flax by Tin Can Knits, and it is made in Drops Nepal in the deep red. And I also made one for my daughter, and I have enough yarn to make another 2 to 4 year size left, or smaller, which is what I am going to be giving away on my Instagram, or I am giving away on my Instagram, and I'm going to draw soon. So I think that's all my admin-y bits, and we can get straight into finished objects. I have 1 finished object, only 1. No idea where it is. Somewhere down here. I thought I bought it. Maybe not. I didn't bring it. I went and got it. This is my finished object. It is not blocked. But it's pretty even. I'm pretty happy with it, even though it's not blocked. I don't think it's too lumpy. I mean, it is lumpy, but it needs a bit of blocking love, but then it'll be fine. This is my first completed object from my Strange Brew book. So the hat and cowl pattern that they give you just has like it's like a recipe for the hat in a bunch of different sizes and a bunch of different weights. The whole book is a recipe for sweaters, hats, cowls in a bunch of different weights and everything, basically everything. And this is just my first go. So this is a newborn hat, and it's going to go in my present drawer. I am trying to be more organised this year and have presents and gifts and everything, a pile of things under our bed, all set and ready for people. So this is going to go in there, even though I don't know anyone who's pregnant, but as soon as there is someone, hopefully they can have this hat. Don't know if I'll add a pom-pom to it or not, but I thought it was very sweet, and it is my only finished object of the week. So we're on to whips. There's been quite a few worked on this week. I'll go with the one in my hands first. This is the Weekender by Andrea Mowry, and this needs to go away soon. I need to either take this off because you can notice the middle stitch easily, or find a normal stitch marker. But on Christmas Day, when I needed a stitch marker and didn't have one, all I could find, I was around my husband's parents, all I could find was this, which comes off the neck of a lint reindeer that my daughter had got, and it's got a bell on, so it keeps jingling, so it's really annoying. So I wouldn't take that off, but I have done literally half a row on the back of this sweater just while I was writing up my show notes. It's embarrassing, but there has been lots of other things worked on, so I will pick them all up and start to talk about them. The one that's probably got the most work done on it this week is my Tanya. I cast this on Tanya. by Caitlin Hunter. Now I feel like I've got that wrong. I'll link it below. And it's marching on incredibly slowly. So I have literally just this much of the bottom so far, and it is knit bottom up, and it has this nice lacy section. Then you get into the potato chip knitting. I was incredibly chuffed when I watched the Vine podcast this week, and she's knitting one, and she's about the same, like about where I am, partway through the lace. I was like, twins! Like, she is nothing like me whatsoever. I must be making about 5 sizes bigger, and her yarn is gorgeous. My yarn's gorgeous too, but like, oh, and just, I was like, I cannot compare myself. I cannot compare. But whatever. But I did comment, and she did then say, Tanya twinsies, and I was like, oh, Tanya twins, she gets it. I fangirled over our YouTube video. It's very sad. Anyway, so mine is being knit out of Yarn Tart yarn, which can be bought from Suffolk Socks. It is her own brand of hand-dyed yarn, and this is in the, I have ball bands, sweet fried tomato colourway, and I absolutely love it. It has these, every now and then, these speckles of like a purple, greyish purpley blue, and it is just a really lovely, reddy, pinky orangey. I can't even really, I mean, if you think that's a dark true red, this is a lot more pinky oranginess to it. Anyway, it's absolutely lovely, and I love it. But the lace is slow going, man, I'm not gonna lie. Like, quite a concentrate-y lace, and it's one of those times where I'm like, I wish that I was a smaller woman. I could do something about that, I'm just too lazy. But I wish I was a smaller woman, so I wouldn't have to cast on so many stitches. Anyway, that is my entry into the hashtag not going to EYF Cal. I really would love to see anyone who wants to join in post on Instagram, to the point where if lots of people did start posting on Instagram, I would find another prize and possibly give it out to the Instagram posters, because I use Instagram more than Ravelry, I think, and I would love that. I just love it. So if you fancy it and you're joining in and you fancy posting to Instagram and using that hashtag so I can see it, I would love that. Anyway, next, cow. Okay, so I showed this last week, and this is my new cowl design that I want to write up. I need to work out how to do charts. Basically, I need to be alone in my house, because otherwise there's a telly going, or there's distractions, I just can't concentrate, and I have a toddler, and Friday night, football, Norwich City are playing, so my husband will be there. I'm hoping that my daughter will go to bed easily like she has the last few nights, and I will just be able to sit down and write this pattern out, because I absolutely love it and I want to share it. So this is my new cowl pattern. I have a bunch of names for it, and I'm still not 100% sure which name I want. This is knit from, my brain keeps going blank, Noodle Soup Yarns, her DK in the Death Metal colourway. It's gorgeous. I love it. Love. I am trying, so what, I didn't work on that this week, obviously. This is Whips. I did cast on, this was my, like, one of my first incarnations of the design, which I don't like at all. I cast on for another one that is a lot smaller, this is meant to be like a head hugger size, one that you can just pull over and will stay up and cling to your face, because sometimes I want that. But my stitch pattern didn't work out to my numbers like it should have done, and I was very confused because I finished my rib and then it didn't work. Very confused. But it was very late last night and we had friends over, and I was like, am I going crazy? Am I just really tired and trying to concentrate on, you know, socialising? So I put it away, and I will get that out this week again and crack on. My next whip, I don't have to show you, but it is the Southeasterly by Skainanigans. So she has her Northeasterly blanket, and I know I showed last week my swatch of all the different stitch patterns that she was doing, and she has also now done a straight edge to the blanket. So all of those little arrow bottom and arrowhead edges on each of the strips, she has designed a flat edging. Go to Ravelry and have a look at Southeasterly. I'm pretty sure it's up there now because she's gifted us the pattern, so fingers crossed it should be available, at least by the time I come off here. Should be. Even if it isn't, keep looking for it because it is brilliant. If you haven't got the Northeasterly pattern, you definitely should. It is my favourite scrappy pattern of like the current times, and that's a big deal for me to actually want to knit a blanket. I have a half knit sock yarn scrap mitered square blanket, and that's just not getting worked on because there's no love there. I've done crochet ones, I've done the one where you work around and around and around and around in a square. I've done a bunch, man, and none of them have like been like loved by me like this, like the Northeasterly. I absolutely love it. It's so fun and so nice to knit. So I don't have it to show you, unfortunately, so I just did a little swatch with the cast on and bind off. So it's a little square, actual square, because it has the straight edges. It was immediately stolen to be a blanket in my daughter's doll's house. So, and anything that gets taken by my daughter then goes missing, so I have no idea where it's gone, unfortunately. I have also worked on a very long-standing whip. This whip I did show on the early days of the podcast, I think, and this is something that I had wanted to knit for forever and a day, and I finally did pick it back up. It is the catkin pattern, and funnily enough, I'm partway through a row. That's naughty. Anyway, it's the catkin shawl. Huh. And my instructions for it were in this project bag, but they're not there now. So it's somewhere in my living room, and it's being knit out of Malabrigo yarn that I got ages ago from Wool Warehouse in these two colours. I think this one's Ocean something, and I can't remember what that one is. Natural, probably. And I had wanted the catkin for forever, since I saw it probably years ago on the Yarn Harlot blog, but it's quite an involved pattern. Like what I'm working on right now is quite involved. I don't think I've made any mistakes because it's the sort of pattern where you could tell straight away if you've made a mistake. But I love it, absolutely adore the stitch pattern. Can't wait to get to the next section. Since there's 3 sections, I think, 3 or 4, 3. And I can't wait to finish this section and be on to the next one. But this is so involved. I'm about halfway through it, this section. I can't do it while there's an awake toddler. Most of the things I knit, I can just sort of work, and half the time I don't have to look at them, and you just don't have to be processing too much because toddler, trash in my house, always. So that will get carried on with. I'm not going to take that off the needle at any point because it is lovely and I want it. And my last thing, which was a whip but was frogged, is living in this bag. I showed you, this is sort of stash enhancement too, but as this is my last whip, who cares? I showed you my mini skeins that we were sent for the giveaway, absolutely gorgeous mini skeins from Family Tree Yarns. I was very, very, very grateful for those. Well, she also sent me some mini skeins for myself, and they were all skeined up beautifully like this, but this happened because I wanted to knit something. They've all been frogged. I'll tell you about it. This one I had not balled up yet. I will ball that up though. These 3 are the others that are the same as what was given for the giveaway. And then these 2, this is Love Splat, and this one is French Fancy. And I love them, especially together. These 2 were little extras for me, which I was very grateful. Thank you very much, Jane. I wanted to make a headband, basically, an ear warmer, like chunky knit headband, because I quite often have my hair in a ponytail and just I look odd wearing a hat with my hair scraped back, or I just don't like the look, but I thought I wouldn't mind a knit headband. So I tried a colourwork one, and I started off, the cuff was in this, Vino Calypso, and then a colourwork pattern between these two, which you'd have thought would be nice, but there is too, it was beautiful because the yarn is beautiful, but there is too much of this pink, the speckly pink in here that clashes with that in the pattern that I had done, which was like a crisscrossy, I don't think I've got it in here anymore, no I don't, it was like a little crisscrossy pattern, you couldn't differentiate between the two yarns, so it just didn't work at all. So I pulled that out, kept the cuff, ripped back to the cuff, wound up this one and this one, and I started again with these two yarns. There still wasn't quite enough definition for the pattern I was doing, which I think was too thin. The lines were too thin that I was trying to create. Didn't work. So then I pulled up this one and I made a slightly thicker pattern and I started knitting it with these two. And then I just didn't like my stitch pattern. So, and I just sat there and I was knitting along and I was quite enjoying myself because it was this lovely, lovely, beautiful yarn. It's so soft. Jane's family tree yarn, her bases, her sock yarn bases are so squashy and so cosy. And I really desperately wanted these to be something gorgeous, and it wasn't working. And I do have a few other projects in mind, so I am going to try something else. But it was too gorgeous a yarn to leave it on a project that I didn't love. So I pulled it all out, and I will be doing something else with those, and hopefully quite soon, because I love a scrappy project and her yarns are gorgeous. So that was also stash enhancement. Other things that I got this week, a bit more than I thought I was going to get this week. This is the start of sort of a new month for me, end of this week, money wise. I've probably spent most of my yarn budget straight away, so there might not be much more stash enhancement for the next month. This is a pair of Addies. I've left the case in there, my house is a mess. Addie 2.75mm needles, and I like them a lot. I have had Addies, but in larger sizes in the past, and I mainly knit with Knit Pro Zings because they have them in my local yarn store, and I have a few pairs of Chowgoos, but not many, but I love them. I have one pair of higher sharps in 2.25s, which I'm finding too sharp for me. Still using them, but a bit too sharp. I'm now thinking I want to buy some Addies in 2.25mm because I like these a lot. So that might happen soon. I think they're out of stock on Amazon. I'm happy to buy them from anywhere else, but price can sometimes be a real factor for me, and I think these were $4.95 and I have Prime, so free delivery, so $4.95, and they showed up the next day through my door. If they're, you know, I mean, I was looking at some others in a independent online store and they were $6.95, which I totally understand is completely valid. I'm not raging at it being a couple of pounds more expensive because I understand the difference between Amazon and independent businesses. But then it was £3 delivery on top. So when you're talking $9.95 as compared to $4.95, that £5 isn't something I can always afford, especially, you know, then when you sit there and think, oh, I'd have two sets through Amazon. It's hard. It's very hard. If I was there in person, I would happily pay the $6.95 and appreciate that this is a business that is supporting itself rather than Amazon, which is a massiveness. But when the delivery's added on top, I can't always afford it, and I got to go with what I can afford sometimes. And the last thing that I bought this week and received, I absolutely love, and it is, oh, sorry, it's another Family Tree Yarns purchase. I promise I'm not just an ad for Family Tree Yarns. She just happens to have some gorgeous yarn, and I had to buy it, especially because these skeins are named Just Breathe. And if you remember a few episodes ago, my word for 2019 is breathe. I feel like I've been talking quite fast in this episode. Maybe I haven't, maybe it's in my head, but maybe I should learn to breathe a little more. Anyway, so these are Family Tree Yarns, 2 skeins of her Just Breathe colourway. And this camera is not doing it justice, so I feel it's a little bit richer in real life. But it has these gorgeous goldy speckles, there's some purple in there. And there's 2 of them and they're just so lovely. And there's some rusty orangey brown colours, and then, oh, look in there. So I bought 2 of these when they came up for sale, mainly because at that point there was only 2 in the shop. I sat there and thought, what can I knit with it, what can I knit with it? I want them both. I want a sweater. Like, I was thinking I wanted 3 to make a, I can't remember, but there was a sweater that needed 3 skeins for my size and fingering weight yarn that I was thinking about. And there was only 2 at the time, and then I bought them and I instantly thought, I have this skein of family tree yarns. Sippola. These are going to be my Sippola. So those for the body, and then this coming in for the colour work. And I love it. This was one I bought a while ago, and I was going to put it into my Stephen West texture time, and then I had other things that fit, and I used another one of her different skeins in it instead. But this is her 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, same base as the other 2 by the looks of it. And these are Just Breathe, and this one is Edinburgh Tattoo. So those 3 together. I was a bit worried about that light part with that for the colour work, but I think there's going to be enough difference. I don't know. If you have an opinion, tell me. I think that way you could see it perfectly would work. That way, it's just that light part, but tell me what you think. So that was not just stash enhancement, that was also one of my knitting plans, is Sippola at some point. I am definitely going to try and finish the tenure first. Anyway, so other knitting plans that I have, I finished this Flax, and then I knit my daughter a Flax, and then I swore I would never knit another Flax. However, the Flaxalong, 2019 Flaxalong by Geordie Knits, being held by Geordie Knits at the moment, is still going on, and it's going on for quite a while longer. And I have a lot of gorgeous skeins of sock yarn in my stash, and I keep thinking, I'm sure you can get a Flax Light from 1 skein of sock yarn in a newborn size, or even a 6 to 12 month size maybe, but definitely a newborn size. I could knit one and just put it under my bed in the big stash of present-y things, and it could just wait until there's a baby, because I want to knit another Flax, because I want to join in. They've got an amazing Facebook group going, and it's so nice and everyone's so lovely, and now I'm like, I'm left out without a Flax, even though I was definitely done with Flaxes a couple of days ago, and knitting the 2nd sleeve on this Flax took me like 6 months. So we'll see. Oh, I forgot to mention this little guy. This little guy kind of got lost. This is from Family Tree Yarns. A little thank you for your order. And it is a gorgeous little mini skein and a stitch marker. I was thinking about putting this in the giveaway, but at the same time I'm like, but it's mine. And I have lots of mini skeins left over from my advent calendar, which I need to knit into my fingerless mitts, which I will do at some point, and then put the rest into my northeasterly blanket. But I was like, but I love it. So we'll see. We'll see if in a few weeks if I've cracked and put this into one of the presents. But look at this progress keeper, and it's a leaf, and it's so cute. It's really delicate. So yeah, that was another thing I had flying about. All professionalism, me. Ooh, can't even talk. Anyway, so considering a newborn Flax, then last night our friends come round. My friend goes to me, and I don't have tons of friends. Popular girl, me. Don't have tons and tons of friends, and the ones that I do have, I value very, very, very much. I can be quite harsh on my friends, and that sounds really awful, but if I've been let down quite a few times by certain people, and I'm reaching a tolerance level where if people mess me about, let me down, hurt my feelings, I will then distance myself a little, rather than just brushing it off and getting on with it. So I don't have a massive group of friends, and the ones that I do have mean a lot to me. And she said, I love that jumper, I really like that jumper, can I try it on? she's a lot skinnier than me, so it looked gorgeous on her, like, you know, one of those oversized. And she was like, oh, I really like it. I was like, you can't have it. She was like, no, I was thinking you could knit me one. And I was like, oh, okay. Where did that come from? Why did I say okay? And do you know what it is? I think it's because so rarely do people actually say, I want you to knit me something, that maybe I just don't knit pretty things most of the time. But like, my family aren't really bothered. Chris actively does not want me to knit him anything. I said to him the other day, I'm knitting you a jumper this year. You're my husband, I'm knitting you a jumper. And he went, okay. He'd be like, all right then. Nah, not in this house. I think it's because I scarred him. When we first got together, I knit him a pair of socks in incredibly scratchy, commercially dyed yarn. And he wore them every time I saw them. Many times. Every time I saw him, to like show that he appreciated that I'd, you know, spent all these hours, knit all these stitches. And then after a while, I think I'd said I was going to knit him another pair, and he went, please don't. And he really hated them. And I was like, you can stop wearing them just to be nice to me. So I don't have that many people to knit for, apart from my daughter, who I can force into knits, and she's not even 2 yet, so she can't say anything. So when my friend turned around and said, I want you to knit me a jumper, I was like, that were my hands, by the way, on there. I didn't just fart. I was so baffled. I was like, yeah, go on then. She said she'll buy the yarn, get it to me, and then I'll knit it for her. She said, what yarn should I get? And I was like, oh, well, I think natural fibres would be best. And that's a big leap for me, because I used to go, oh, buy acrylic. Because I was cheap, and I thought everyone else was about as cheap as me. And I was like, nah, you want natural fibres, and did you like the feel of mine? And she said she did. And I was like, did you find it scratchy at all? Because I can find this a little, like, it is soft, but I can feel a little tiny tickle. And she said she did like it. So we had a little look on a few sites at Drops Nepal, and also Drops Big Merino, which I would really like to try knitting with, but it was quite a bit more expensive. Not really in terms of knitting, like knitters know what you can pay out, but she worked it out with Drops Nepal, and it would cost her around £28 to £30, which she is happy to pay. And then when we changed it to Drops Big Merino, it went at just over £40, and she was like, yeah, I'll get it for the 28. So she has contacted another website that had it local to us, to see if they would consider pickup rather than delivery, because that would make it a bit cheaper for her. And if they won't, she'll go with Wool Warehouse. So I might have a Flax to knit soon. We'll see if she actually follows through and buys it. If she doesn't, I'm not going to say anything, but if she does, I might be knitting another adult Flax. And I showed you my Sippola. Those are my only real knitting plans. I have ordered some other things from places, and I am expecting some yarn for a design that I want to write up, that I'll talk about when we have the yarn, and stuff that isn't here really. So I think that's about it for all the knitting jibber jabber today, and I only really have to talk about now what's been going on in my life. There has been some drama, not massive drama, just drama with birds pooing on my stuff in my loft, etc. If you want to listen to that, carry on. If you don't want to listen to that, then thank you so much for joining me for the knitting content. If you want to go and join in with my Not Going to EYF Cal, go over to Ravelry, find the Lonely Knitter podcast group. I will link it below, and come and have a chat, because, you know, I'm going to be drawing prizes from the chatter thread as well as the FO thread. So even if you don't finish, you've still got the chance of winning a prize. And so far it's a lovely little group, and you've got a high chance of winning because there's not that many of us. But I'm really enjoying it over there. I haven't been there today because, well, I'll tell you in a minute what we've been doing. But it's been a really nice little group so far. Anyway, so bye-bye if you're going. Bye! But other than that, this week I worked late night Monday, full day Tuesday, then like Wednesday I did my normal stuff, like baby gymnastics in the morning, and we went to a friend's house in the afternoon because it was horrible weather. It kept hailing, so I didn't want to take my daughter to the wildlife park. And got home on Wednesday afternoon, and I was in the spare room hunting something out, and I heard a noise. Now last year we were pretty sure there was birds starting to nest in the guttering in that far corner of our house upstairs, 2-storey house that's upstairs. But we had no real proof. We just saw birds landing on there every now and then flying away. Well, I was in the spare room and I could hear what I thought sounded like a bird noise, like flapping sounds and scrabbling sounds. But it was in the corner of the house, and like I got right up in that corner and I was like, are they outside? Is it by the window? Is it in the attic? Couldn't work it out. Opened the spare room window, stuck my head out, and out came 3 birds straight above the guttering. They came out. So, and I was like, ooh, they better not be in the loft. Could they be in the loft and get in from outside? No, don't be ridiculous. They're just probably all flapping about the guttering, and I heard it. Off I toddled. About 5 o'clock in the morning, Thursday morning, there's all these flapping and scrabbling sounds above our bedroom, which is in the other side of the house. So there are birds in the attic. No chatter about it. All we own is a stepladder. There is no ladder that drops down when you open the attic door hatch, because persimmon houses nowadays, they say, oh, we don't do those because we don't recommend that you store anything in the roof at all. So we don't put ladders in. And so we've got a stepladder. We are naughty. We do store things in our roof because we have not got enough space and we've got way too much stuff. So Chris gets up on this stepladder to have a look. There are no birds up there at that point that he can see, because he could only see literally like this high above the little loft hatch because he hasn't got a ladder tall enough. And I was like, drag whatever you can reach down and we'll keep it down here, because whatever there's up there, even if it's rats, I don't want it touching the stuff that's up there. So he can only reach a few things, and I was really panicking it would be rats, but there was no sign of rat drop-ins. And he pulls down the suitcase, and it's our big suitcase, and right there in the middle on the top of it is a big fresh bird poo. I was like, there's birds pooing on my stuff. I was not happy. There's no yarn up there, don't worry. But we couldn't reach up to get the rest of the stuff, and there was no birds in there at that point. Like the minute they heard us going up, they were gone. I think they were scoping it out, seeing where they were going to nest, having a little look. I think it was starlings. I'm not 100%. Could have been a female blackbird who I'd seen. Not 100%. Anyway, so I call Persimmon because there shouldn't be birds in my roof. My house is only 2 years old, just over 2 years old. There shouldn't be birds in my roof. They shouldn't be able to get in my roof. Spoke to my dad. My dad's got some builders there at the moment. He was like, there's supposed to be this mesh stuff or stuff all around where your house joins the roof, and it should prevent that from happening. So it's either not been installed properly or whatever, you need to find out. Well, Persimmon said they'd send someone round because they're still working on our site on some other houses. So they said, oh, we'll send someone round, but we can't tell you what time, but it'll be at some point today. Can you stay in? So I missed Ellie's swimming lesson, which we pay for in advance by direct debit. So no way I'm getting that money back. They're not cheap. I mean, my mum helps, like my mum pays for the swimming classes, but it's not the point. The classes have been paid for my daughter. She loves them, and she's really confident in the water. And we've missed a week because we waited in for Persimmon, and they didn't turn up. Thanks. So called them at the end of the day. Where are they? Apparently there was some incident, he couldn't come to any of the appointments and couldn't call and tell anyone either. So promised they'd be around 9 AM the next morning, 9:05, so fair enough. The next morning they turn up, look at the corner of the house, literally just look up and go, brick missing. Oh, brick missing on that corner as well. And I was like, right. He was like, so yeah, looks like there's just an entry into your house because there's a brick missing on each corner there. Goes up in the attic, swings himself up from the stepladder. Yeah, that's what they've done. Comes back down. Yeah, you got birds in your roof because there's a hole in multiple corners of my house into the roof of my house. I was so cross. Anyway, so they were like, I rang Persimmon to tell the customer care people to tell them. They were like, oh, we'll send someone round then to fix it at some point. And I was like, well, what do I do in the meantime? Because there's animals in my roof. And she was like, well, if you can get anything to sort of block up the holes. Anyway, thankfully I have a very nice brother-in-law with lots of big ladders who came round and put some expanding foam in the gaps. But when he had a look at the house, he found that on all 5 corners, because we have, it's like there's like a porchy sticky outy bit at the front as well. So on all 5 corners of the roof, they are missing 1 brick. They haven't gone up enough. They need to go up 1 more brick. So there is a hole into my attic at 5 points in this house. Don't buy new builds, people. Well, I'm sure old builds have their faults as well. So here I am with my holy house with birds in the roof. And we scared them out when you filled it with expandy foam, and now there's no birds in my roof, just a lot of old bird poo. And now I've got to wait for the builders to come round and fix my house. So I've got that going on. What else have we done? Not a lot, really. That was Thursday, sat sitting in my house all day going stir crazy. Then Friday, we did go to Africa Alive. We went to our wildlife park and we saw the lions and the giraffes and had a nice time. And Ellie had been really bored the day before, so she was very happy to get out and about. And this weekend, we have been cleaning out, or just like clearing out. You can't see it, but down here are 140 DVDs that are going to the charity shop tomorrow. I'm not sending the box set of Shameless or the box set of Friends to the charity shop. They're going to CEX because I am trading them in because they are worth like 15 quid. And I could always do 15 quid, but I'm not going to sit there and scan in 140 DVDs, especially when I know Music Magpie or CEX will probably only give me about a penny for every one, whereas a charity shop might sell them for 25p, 50p each, and at least make a little bit of money. There are multiple bags of clothes to go to the clothing bin. I have already dumped like 6 or 7 in the clothing bin today. I don't know what happened. I was like, I want to clean up upstairs. We want to move Ellie from the little nursery into the big girl's bedroom. We need to make the big girl's bedroom. We only have a room that is full of stuff. So I need to sort storage and I had to start clearing out. And I went crazy. And I watched Once Upon a Corgi's podcast the other day, and she was talking about the Marie Kondo, who does the tidying up stuff. She was like, oh, there's a series on Netflix and etc, etc. I was like, oh, series on Netflix. So I was up there, started tidying yesterday, and I put it on. I watched the whole series in 2 days. Not really watched, it was on in the background, and then every time she was talking in, I think she's Japanese, every time she was talking in Japanese and you knew there were subtitles, I just looked over and watched the subtitles, but the rest of the time you didn't need them, you could just listen. So that really spurred me on and inspired me, and I feel like I've done a better job clearing out than I ever have done before. So that's what's been going on, just massively been clearing out my house. It's been really boring, and I would have got way more knitting done if I just sat on my bum in my pigsty and got on. But instead we're cleaning out. So that's about it. I feel like this might be quite a boring show. I feel like that some weeks, and some weeks I'm like, man, you should not be podcasting because it's boring. But I feel like I've just jibber-jabbered for a while and I'm not sure if anyone would really want to listen to any of this. So I'm going to go. I think this is partly because I always podcast when I'm really tired, because I have to do it after little madam has gone to bed. And it just means that sometimes I feel like what's pouring out of my mouth is like word drivel. But there we go. Anyway, so I'm going to go, and I will see you next week. Please do go and join in with my Not Going to EYF Cal if you fancy knitting yourself anything for you to wear that you could have worn to EYF if you had been going. And it ends the Monday after EYF finishes, so it's in March. Towards the end of March. My brain's gone and I haven't got my bit of paper, so you'll have to go and have a look. There's the video, the previous video that I posted on YouTube, explains everything. And I have made a little exception to the rule for someone, which is Geordie Knits, because I love her Flax along. Go and join if you want to knit a flax. And she said, I'm going to EYF, but I want to join. Well, I was like, well, you're only going to EYF for 1 day. So you could knit yourself clothes that you would have worn on the other days if you'd been going to the other days of EYF. Basically, I'm all inclusive. I don't want anyone to be banned, even if you are going to EYF, because even though you are, and I am very jealous. I just feel a little bit like, everyone come on in. So just knit something by UIF. Yeah, I don't really care. Anyway, I'm going to go because I'm knackered and a bit brain fried from today. I've also, after finishing this tidying up, just sat down and written out 50 thank you notes from our wedding because we're waiting for our pictures to come back before we can make them and then sort it out, and I've just been procrastinating a bit, and that's awful because we got some wonderful gifts and I need to get my arse in gear. But I wanted to make them all personal and really try and make sure that everyone knew how valued they were, and it's just meant that I'm really brain fried, and this has not been the best time to podcast, but if we don't do it now, it's not going to get out for a good few days because I work late tomorrow, and just we'll carry on and it will get done. Anyway, so I'm going to go. Thank you so much if you've watched all the way till the end of this absolute just drivel towards the end. And as always, thank you so much for making me much less of a lonely knitter.